A lot of people are talking about Nick Shirley. Some are praising him, some are condemning him. What most people don't know is that I actually know Nick Shirley personally. I've worked with him, I've collaborated with him, I've been on the streets with him, I've even been his security at protests. I've been in real situations on and off the camera with him. For those of you that follow him, you might have noticed that his cameraman was punched in the face when he was investigating scammers on Canal Street. That cameraman is my cameraman, my nephew, who always worked for me, and I put him on to Nick Shirley. In this video, I'm not here to defend Nick. I'm not here to cancel him. I'm not here to go against everybody else. I'm here to give my perspective on someone who I consider a friend and who people are misconstruing and painting a perspective that is completely incorrect. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jesus V, and I've collaborated with Nick multiple times. I've showcased poor living conditions in the Bronx with him. I've been his security at some of the biggest protests in New York City, and I've even got him to lift inside of the gym. So I have an inside perspective on how Nick moves in front and behind the camera. And that's why I'm making this video. Now, Nick's recent video on Somali daycare fraud in Minnesota went viral for a reason. First things first, it touched on corruption, misuse of public funds, and a system that failed not only the United States as a whole, but probably the most protected class that we have, which are children. And those are obviously serious issues, and it struck a chord with the citizens of this country because, you know, if you're a citizen and you're just struggling to survive and you find out the taxes that you're paying with your hard-earned dollars are being misused, especially by those that are not citizens of this country, that's gonna piss you off. But here's the thing, this video isn't really about the Somali fraud. I'll give my take on that later on in the video. It's really to make sure that there's a nuanced perspective on who Nick Shirley is as a person. As you can tell, I'm not a white dude, but I am a proud American, and I know things about Nick personally, like the fact that he went on a 2-year mission with his church where he was serving the people of South America who are not white. So this whole take that he's racist, that's automatically out the door. Now here's the thing that people are missing with Nick Shirley. First thing, he's not waking up, going to random cities to just target random minorities. That's not the thing. He's going to these environments and he's seeing where things don't add up, where there's problems, where there's tension, and he presses the issue. And that's the problem right there. When you're someone who's on the wrong end of a scam or anything that is not in accordance with what's right or with the law, you're not gonna like Nick Shirley. That's just a fact. You're just not gonna like him. So as someone who comes from a minority background, I can tell you there's been fraud going on in the system for years. My own family has abused the system. I've seen it firsthand. Another thing is, like, Nick Shirley goes into these situations and 9 times out of 10, he doesn't know how things are gonna end up. So the first things first, the kid is brave. He is very brave, and this is why I was doing security for him all those times, because like these people do not like him. They do not like him. They want to see him hurt, and that's why it's important that I make this video, because people will try to paint a picture of who he is personally. Say what you want about his thumbnails and titles and his YouTube channel, but I'm telling you from a personal standpoint what I know about him personally. I've seen him get confronted, I've seen him get threatened, I've seen him get surrounded, and that's why I was there as security. You can disagree with his approach, like I said. I don't always agree with how he does things. You could critique how the story was framed, but it's kind of lazy for you to say that these videos he's making are going viral and there's no problem there. There's smoke, but there's no fire. Like, come on. All right, now let's go into my personal experience with Nick. Now let's talk about off camera. Nick is pretty measured, and if you don't know him personally, he's pretty introverted. He doesn't seem like that, but he's pretty introverted. He's not like very loud, and that's why sometimes during some of these exchanges he'll seem like he's fumbling his words, but that's just how he is. But the most important thing is that he's asking questions, and he's really measured, and he listens more than people think. And if whatever is being exposed brings offense just by asking a question, then maybe we don't need to be looking at the person asking the question, but the person being asked. Because there's no, like, if you're not guilty of anything, there's no reason why someone just asking a question, whether it's with a camera or not, is going to offend you. Like, if I'm not guilty of something, if you come up to me and ask me something that I'm blatantly not guilty of, I'm just gonna be like, no. Even when we worked together in the Bronx, the goal wasn't clicks, it was exposure to show like how these Democrat-run cities, the conditions really are. And those were the people that were the most receptive to giving their perspective. The people on the ground, in the hood, actually living the day in, day out conditions that white liberals like to critique and make judgments on. So keep that. I didn't want to make this a super long video, so these are going to be like my final thoughts. My goal with this video wasn't to get you to love Nick Shirley. Here are some critiques that I personally have about him, being his friend and knowing him personally. I do think some of his titles and thumbnails are a little bit hyperbolic, but as someone who creates content, I understand to get a message across, sometimes you need to use controversy to garner attention. Now think about this. This is widespread fraud that's been happening in this part of the United States for years, and it's gone without challenge. And a YouTuber with a camera and some old dude that lives in Minnesota made this issue so big that now the White House is intervening and actually investigating the fraud. I mean, think about that. Who cares about a title and thumbnail if the end result is exposing fraud and people, especially immigrants that are not citizens of this country, abusing our system? If that's the result and a few feelings get hurt because, you know, the title and thumbnail, I'm 100% okay and good with that, because for too long the systems have been broken and people have abused them, and we can't end up looking like England, where migrants are just taking over and that the government is so incompetent that they just bend to the whim and the will of these migrants who don't have the interest of the United States at heart. So that's my opinion about that. I really wanted to encourage you to think deeper, more than just like a clip or a headline, to really understand why is Nick making these videos. He's a religious kid, he's young, he started off making prank videos, and after going on a 2-year mission, religious mission with his church, he comes back and decides he wants to give back to his country. So he starts exposing this fraud with the border, and you could go on his YouTube channel. He's exposed a lot. He could have just kept on making prank videos. He could have went any other direction which would be more viral and less contentious. But because he had a calling after his 2-year mission, he did this. So like, question why he would do that. Also, we shouldn't let the internet turn these issues into tribal warfare. I could look at someone who's left-leaning, look at their video, and if they make good points, I'll say that. Like, a couple people make points like, how would you feel if you worked in a daycare and some white guy with a camera and security guards walked up to you and were asking where are the kids? I kind of see that perspective. I do. If I worked in the daycare, but most of the times it's females that are working in daycare, I would be a little apprehensive. So they have a point there, but that doesn't negate the fact that fraud is still happening. So yeah, points have been made. I'm not this like ultra white wing conspiracy theorist. If you make a point and it's valid, I see it. But the fact is, this video that he made has made a huge impact, not only on the internet, but in our country. And I tip my hat off to him, because he's done so many videos on so many different topics, and it took this one to really hit the nail in the coffin. Again, Nick Shirley is not a racist. I've seen him engage with people of all different backgrounds. He learned how to speak Spanish during his mission. I've seen him speak Spanish to Latinos out here in the Bronx and Manhattan. So I just wanted to have like an honest conversation. Yeah, Nick Shirley, I don't agree with how he does everything, but he's my boy, and I love what he's doing. I hope he keeps doing that and keep exposing fraud in our country to make America great. And yeah, that's it. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and most of all, subscribe to the Jesus V Unscripted channel, because we'll keep on posting unscripted content. Each video might be something different. This was something completely unscripted. I just want to address it because it's something that's on the topic of discussion. It's like the most viral topic on X, but I know Nick personally, and I felt that he deserved for someone to come up to bat for him and show the world what he's really about. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.